Hello! In this video, I'll be showing you how to do a very simple dish of Portuguese fish head. So in the next part of the video, my face will disappear and the phone will be focusing on the dish, on the ingredients that are required and how it's done. So the ingredients are all over here, but my phone is not the best. So the next couple of scenes will be without my face, and it will focus on the ingredients. Okay, first of course we need some fish head. These fish heads are from an entire piece of salmon that I got from a supermarket, and I decided that I did not want them to do the job, so I cut it up myself. If there's any significant request, you may want to subscribe, or maybe you could let me know in the comments, and if it's quite a significant number, I'll show you how I do the filleting. Otherwise, I think it doesn't really matter. You can just go online and search for how to fillet a salmon, and it's not very difficult with a bit of practice. And yeah, let me move on. Next ingredient, I have the fish eggs. Not many people will put fish eggs into the dish, but I decided that I want to because I enjoy fish eggs, and since my parents gave me a pack of these beautiful looking fish eggs, well, why not? I think it would taste just fine. Next, it would be the beautiful lady's fingers, and followed by the Portuguese style paste. So I don't claim to be a fantastic cook or chef by any means, but I learned a lot of things from the internet, and now I'm just going to give back, and I hope to be able to convince more of you, no matter ladies or gentlemen, husbands or wives, that it does not have to be very difficult. I mean, some people just pay like maybe $30 or $40 for half a fish head outside, and my total cost for all these ingredients, it's, if I'm not wrong, it's less than $15 or maybe even less than $10. So that being said, this can feed a family of 4. And a family of 4 usually needs like maybe 2 fish heads outside. So if you buy 2 fish heads outside at $20 per fish head, you may end up at total cost of maybe close to $50. So this is an affordable way to feed the whole family. So the next part, I will show you how I do the prep work before I put it all in the pot to cook. First, the fish heads. Okay, you really want to keep the fish heads in a good Ziploc bag, a good heavy duty Ziploc bag, because you would really not want the bacteria from the fish to go to other items, or for other items to get to your fish. And the common mistake that most people make is to make the fish, to unwrap the fish and just throw it into something to defrost it. Okay, but this is my suggestion. As a person at home with without any professional facilities, this is my suggestion. Okay, take the fish that's bagged up and put it into a basin of water, not warm water, just tap water will do. Okay, put the fish in, and this is definitely faster than what the Western world suggests of putting it in the fridge and let it be there for like 24 hours and then defrosting and all that. In reality, when you need to cook for the family, or maybe it's a last minute thing that someone asks you to, maybe your wife, your husband, your father, your mother, or whatever, made a sudden request for the dish, and maybe you forgot to defrost it beforehand. So we're not going to be like expert chefs or expert cooks here, and we'll just do it my way, which has resulted in decent dishes, and no one has had any food poisoning or diarrhea yet. So I think it's trustworthy enough. So these fish are in a little basin of water, I will call it a bucket, I think basin, a dish of water. And it's actually kind of floating on top because firstly there's air inside, secondly ice, of course it floats on water, and this fish is currently like a block of ice, so it's floating on top, but don't worry about it, okay? We will put this into the fridge where the temperature will be maintained around I think it's like 4 degrees or 5 degrees. Let me have a look. Okay, it says over here that my fridge, the freezer goes down to -20 and the regular fridge compartment is at 4 degrees. So what's going to happen is this thing will go into the fridge where it will be less hazardous, because you know the temperature over here in Asia, in Singapore, it's like on the average 30 degrees. Alright, so that's not safe at all for food to defrost outside. So let's put it into the fridge where it will take a couple of hours. If you want it even faster, of course, there is the other option, which is the microwave oven. But I don't like to use the microwave oven because I think I really think that it spoils the taste of any meat. I tried steaks, I tried fish, I tried chicken, and it really spoils the taste. So I'll just put this into the fridge first. As for the eggs, generally, if you have a big enough basin, you can put it into the water. That's no problem at all. Or you can just let it defrost by itself. Somehow, I have found that fish eggs, they defrost just fine outside or in the fridge. They defrost just fine somehow. But the fish heads, they don't defrost so quickly. So I'm going to put the fish heads in the Ziploc bag, submerged into the water and into the fridge. Okay, the reason why I don't take out the fish and throw it into the water directly, which some people would say that, hey, you know, it's fast and it's good, so why not? But maybe I'm just particular. But when the fish goes into the water, all the juices that melts out of the fish head, it gets so-called diluted by the water. So later on, when I take it out, it will be swimming in some sort of a liquid or fish juice. Okay, it may look a little bit gross and all that, but the flavor is better that way. Okay, you don't have to put the fish juice to cook inside. Okay, what you really want is to take out the fish, which has been swimming in its own juice, so it's not diluted and the flavor is better. And then we will put it to cook. So for now, I will put this into the fridge. Okay, I'll make some space. And this goes in. And it should take like maybe 2 hours. Like the fish eggs, I have already started to defrost, and it's fast. As I mentioned, you don't really need to put the fish eggs into the water, but if you want to, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'll put the fish eggs there. It's already started to get soft. Yeah, you can feel it already. Okay, into the fridge. And next we have the Portuguese sauce and the lady's finger, right? So I'll be showing you how I process the lady's finger, because I saw from a TV program that there are certain ways to eat the lady's fingers that is more healthy than others. Alright, the lady's fingers. First step is you want to slice them up. They have already been washed clean, so it's good to start cutting them up now. I watched from a TV program that it is important that you keep the head. Okay, even though it looks a bit ugly and my mom would throw it away and slice it off, but apparently that program on television, which is a comment made by a TCM physician. So this head of the lady's finger is supposed to be the most beneficial to the human body. What you want to do is to potentially get rid of the tail. Okay, the tail is not so beneficial. Maybe it's just fiber for your body, but you really want to have the consume the head, all right? But if you slice it too thinly, a lot of the jelly comes out, and some people may not like their curry or their sauce to be too gooey. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to do very thick slices so that it will give the same health benefits of having some of the goo, which is supposed to protect your body against excess sugar, and we will also enjoy the benefits of lady's fingers. So here we go, line them up. I like to cut them at an angle, or you may cut them straight, doesn't really matter. To me, it's just a preference. I like them at an angle. Okay, and one more. And then I take off the tail. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this is defrosted, so it's good to go. You will see it swimming in a little bit of its own juices, so just let it be. And our two fish heads, yep, they are swimming in their own juices, so that's fine. But we don't need those juices in the final product. So, yep, it's good. You can pour this water away or water the plants. Okay, since this fish will go into some sort of a curry, so we don't really need to so-called scour the fish or boil the fish to get rid of the smell. We will just get rid of the water, and we will then put it into the pot later on. So, yeah. Okay, one tip that you may want to take note of is that this fish may have scales on it if it's done by a fishmonger that you can't really trust. So this was done by myself, and it is really clean. And if you somehow feel that there is some sort of maybe some scales or whatever, right, and you feel that it may end up in the dish, you may want to use a fork and just scrape it. You don't worry about the skin doesn't tear so easily. So this is very clean by my standards, so it could just go into the dish and be cooked. Okay, give it a final rinse. Okay. It says over here for this particular sauce, for steaming you use 1 pack, blah blah blah. one piece of fish, medium size, steam and then pour and let it steam again and so on. I should actually empty this into the pot first, and then I will fry it a little bit to give it a bit of a fragrance, and then I would add a bit of water. So what's going to happen now is that I will empty this into the pot, and just take note that the pot should be at a reasonable size. Okay, you want to fry this until you can get some sort of a fragrance, because very often when they do the packaging in the factory, they have certain processes that ensure the longevity of the sauce, but it does not ensure that the sauce is at the most fragrant. Some people may even want to add in some onions, some garlic. It's up to you. I think it's just fine this way, because I want to emphasize on a very simple cook. Okay, I'm quite satisfied with the fragrance now. Lower the fire first. Some of you may actually want to use a second pot where you could bring it to a boil, so-called boiling the fish until it's 3/4 done, and then you can transfer it to another pot where you do this steaming. So I'm doing this for the sake of convenience, right? So I'm going with the next best method, which is adding a bit more water and then let the fish so-called steam and cook at the same time within the pot. So it's something that is so it's easy to do and not going to make you go through too much trouble. I will give it about 10 minutes. Once it starts to boil, lower the flame low enough such that it is still boiling a little, a bit of a simmer, but it's not going to boil and burn to the base. So I will stop the video here because it's just all about waiting, and you should check the fish once in a while to ensure that it is cooking well. It's helpful if you have a glass lid, which enables you to have a very visual anticipation of whether the fish is getting done properly or not. So, okay, we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Okay, welcome back. The time is now 6:09, right? So it's almost 10 minutes already. Let's check on our fish. I've actually already opened this a number of times to have a look and everything. Okay. One of the best ways to determine if the fish is already well cooked is to look at the eyeball, right? You look at this eyeball over here. Okay, it's kind of like popping out of the socket. So when a fish has its eyeballs almost out of its socket or completely white, it's an indication that the fish is pretty much perfectly done at that moment. If you're still worried about it, what you could do is to use a toothpick, okay, to just pierce the flesh. If it pierces through, you just poke it through. If it pierces through all the way smoothly, then it's pretty much cooked through already. If you face resistance, it means that there is some raw flesh inside, and that's not too good, especially if you froze the fish. If it's a fresh fish, it should be quite okay, but if it's frozen, then better not. Okay, so what we're going to do now, you can see that the fish is very nice and pink. Okay, it's nice and pink over here, nicely done. So we're going to take the fish out first carefully. Okay, this is a bit different from what other people do. This is my method of cooking. Okay, I'll put the plate here. Turn off the fire first, otherwise the plate may get too hot. Then I will take out the heads first. Okay, be careful because now that it's cooked, it is very tender. The wooden part is okay to touch the pot, but don't let the fork touch the pot. Okay, the fork is just to make sure that the fish doesn't run and fly somewhere. Alright? So the fork should not touch the plate. I mean, should not touch the pot. Alright? That's one head. And the second head. you will see that the sauce is a little, it's quite wet, okay, because I added water earlier on, and it's only 10 minutes, not a lot of time to simmer. However, we don't want to force it to become extremely thick, because when the lady's fingers go in, the lady's finger will actually release a lot of goo, and the goo will actually thicken this quite a bit. All right. First, the fish eggs. The fish eggs will take a while more to cook as compared to the lady's fingers. Right? The lady's fingers, according to the TCM practitioner, they feel that lady's fingers should be eaten raw, otherwise just slightly cooked for its best benefits. The moment you bring the lady's finger to a full cook, you get the fibers, but the health benefits are pretty much gone. So that I'm going for a very light cook for the lady's fingers. Fish eggs. Okay, once you see that the paste is starting to boil, bring down the heat a little, such that it's just cooking very gently. Okay, we don't need to cook the fish eggs in a very big fire, over a very big fire. Okay, we'll cover it for a few minutes. We can see the doneness of the eggs through the glass cover, so we just monitor it for a few more minutes. Okay, now a couple of minutes have passed, and the eggs have a very grainy texture. You can almost see the individual eggs. Yeah, we could see them individually now, whereas just now it looked kind of like raw meat, but now it's very grainy. So they are ready. I will turn the heat off and put this on the plate first before I put in the lady's fingers. A word of warning for people who are not in the best of health. If you enjoy fish eggs just like I do take note that these are actually quite high in all the bad stuff. You know, from what I know, they can increase your cholesterol maybe. So if you're gonna have 4 huge pieces of fish egg, please share it with someone else maybe. Yeah, I mean, if you have some health issues, I would strongly recommend that you don't enjoy 4 pieces alone. Okay, now that that's out, we're going to put in the lady's finger. Once the goo starts to come out, the sauce will thicken considerably. Okay, remember that we don't want to cook this too much, but we want to make sure that it's a reasonable texture, because if it's not cooked, it's pretty tough. However, as I mentioned earlier on, if you have someone who is maybe suffering from diabetes, the lady's finger is best consumed raw or very lightly cooked, which is what I'm doing now, as lightly cooked as possible. Okay, you see it's thickened up quite a lot already, which means that all the goo is coming out. And we will serve. And that's it. Portuguese style fish head. It's not gorgeous, but well, it's for the family. I think it works well. Alright, that's it for this video, and I hope that you enjoy what I do for the family. Thank you, bye bye.